Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, the 12th of November, 2024. And I did 2 videos yesterday, but I'm still doing one today. And I still haven't finished watching the video from Zetetic Warrior regarding Jaren. And again, I'm still going to say, devil's advocate, that things that he's sharing or saying regarding the sun's travel path and the implications for the flat Earth model, if things turn out a certain way, I still think he's possibly trying to get into that community, and you can only do that by befriending people more often than not. And so he could be saying things to appease people like Duffy to make sure that he gets out there, and Austin as well. And still, until he actually goes, and it's very brave to actually commit to doing something like that, then we don't know what he's going to come back with and what he's going to share. And so we should still give him the benefit of the doubt, because for almost a decade, like I've said, he has really good content. And these other allegations, I have seen no proof of or anything like that. And I've corresponded with him for like almost a year now, and zero issues in that regard. So anyways, it's just not even a concern necessarily, but it's just it's important to bring out topics that people of influence discuss, because like that's the way science works, right? Or discussions work, or even philosophical debates, right? It's like things that you have questions about or concerns about, or seeking further clarification. We should be able to bring it up without fear of reprisal, so to speak, and being censored, because that's what the left and right political parties are doing now. Also, so there's so much division in the world right now, and it's on purpose. And so I think that what we need is a little bit more peace and unity in the world, and less conflict. But it is what it is. There was before I get into Marco Rubio, and some things that he said in the past and concerns, I wanted to share, because there's some that I know from, I was just talking about her literally just in the last 2 days. There's some that I know from CBSA at the Montreal airport. And she's been, I'm obviously never going to give the name, but she's been saying, like, especially in the last few months alone, there's been significant concerns with like the vetting process of people coming in from countries that we would consider to be red flag countries, or high risk of having people possibly coming in and like with a criminal background, etc. And there's more to it than that, obviously. And so like where she's usually used to seeing like hundreds of people a day, if not like over 1,000, she's now seeing like a handful of people on her shifts. And she's the third line of defense for Canadians, right? For the for CBSA. So like there's like 2 vetting processes first before you get to her last line of defense. And she's saying that she's not getting hardly anyone anymore. And that's of concern as well, which is interesting, is Trudeau pushing more immigration while he's still in power, because he's getting a lot of money indirectly from pushing it. I don't know. But long story longer, there was a bomb threat. There was a suspicious package that was of interest, and so they like everyone had to leave. And it's only been the last couple of hours that they're able to go back to work, from what I'm tracking. And the package turned out to be nothing. It turned out to be like a non-issue. Yeah, and so. The other person I'm talking to about this is saying that it was a real situation, not a false alarm. So the media could possibly be misinformed, because like now I'm getting someone that literally has on the ground accounts saying that it was a real situation, possibly, apparently. But that's with minimal info. And so anyways, I'll update people more on that as the situation unfolds. But it wouldn't be the first time the media gets it wrong, to say the least. So this is from Yule Airport International, Montreal, Trudeau. A package of interest was detected by Yule's security mechanisms. As the safety of passengers and airport community employees is a priority at all times, a sector of the terminal on the international arrivals level, mainly the baggage carousel area, have been evacuated. And then it goes on to more. But Anyway. Interesting on that. Okay, so Mark Rubio, he's been a loyal supporter of Donald J. Trump for many years and possibly could be the next Secretary of State. This is something that was reported by the New York Times, and they've also been known to get things wrong or push propaganda. And so there's no official accounts of it, of him being selected yet. So, but on that regard, there are people that are saying that, and myself included, concerns with how how COVID was rolled out, and even him pushing the COVID vaccine, and even it is what it is, right? Like a lot of people got it wrong during that time. So was he one of them? Who knows? And but yes, he was. And then his comments on 9/11. But I would like to get it from the horse's mouth. And so Sean Hannity, he's pretty friggin' awesome. He tries to be neutral, and yeah. So here's a lab accident covered up by China. So this was posted a year ago, and so even over a year ago, like he was sharing possibly actual facts. And so let's see what he has to say. I haven't watched this yet. But I like Sean Hannity.
Tonight, new details about that infamous lab in Wuhan tasked with studying gain-of-function research in coronaviruses before the pandemic. Now, this is amazing. Judicial Watch, I have the paper right here in front of me. I put it on Hannity.com. You can read it yourself. I'll center it for the audience at home. Now, they released a trove of documents related to an organization named the Eco Health Alliance. You've heard me talk about this before. It details its role in funding the research with the help of course, the guy running the NIH. That would be your friend, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and our very own federal government. Now, according to one document, a specific aim of the research, I'm not a scientist, I'll let you interpret it. The specific aim was, quote, testing predictions of virus interspecies transmission. Very interesting. They mentioned the word human as well. I'll get to that. And it said, quote, creating mutant viruses to identify how significantly each would need to evolve to enter human cells. What could possibly go wrong with this science, right? Now, of course, we all know what went wrong. Now, we did reach out to the Eco Health Alliance for comment. They denied the Judicial Watch report and told us that they did not support gain-of-function research in Wuhan and that the research that did not happen there could not possibly have started COVID. Really? Anyone here believe that? No. Joining us now with more, Florida Senator Marco Rubio. He has now introduced legislation to hold our government accountable for its role in this disaster. Senator, I have what the people at the Eco Health Alliance put out. They say they didn't support gain-of-function research. Okay, I'm not a scientist, but I will say this. Why, in fact, did the NIH get a penny, a single cent for a Wuhan virology lab in China, our number one geopolitical foe? Number two, it sounds like they're playing with fire when you read the actual document.
And Winnipeg, Canada, the lab there with the scientists from China, who had top secret government clearance, Canadian clearance, they're also involved.
And the drop by Judicial Watch. And three, I believe that we were lied to from the very beginning, that Anthony Fauci, the people that were telling us that this was a wet market issue and not a virology lab issue, were lying to us. What do you say?
Absolutely was, and he knew he was.
Well, we're actually going to have more information. We're putting the finishing touches on it. It builds on the report that was released yesterday with actually even more evidence of the fact that something was going on in China. And we're going to be able to put this out there. We just got to get it cleared. That something was going on in China well before it was even acknowledged that there was anything going on. And I think it adds credence to this whole lab leak theory. And it's not just the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Remember, there's a second place there called the Wuhan Institute of Health, which is also involved in this. This is a place that's had repeated accidents in the past. And so I think there's every reason to suspect that these two labs working on this kind of stuff also happen to be in the city where it began and have had accidents in the past. I think the likelihood that I agree with the FBI on this one. I agree with the Department of Energy on this one. The likeliest outcome here is that this was a lab accident covered up by the Chinese that, of course, have destroyed the world. And I want to make one other point, because I think you
Covered
talk
up.
about the experts in general. You were talking earlier with John Solomon about these intel experts. These are former intelligence officials, because we have
a lab leak that they were trying to cover up. It's just interesting because a lot of the crisis actors and role players that I've shared over the years in China, where they were alleging they were in body bags, all of this stuff, I'm showing that they're like, the people are moving around, like even the arm out, and like I'm showing it all. This was a staged and planned event with international overreach. And so
industries now of former officials, particularly in intelligence, but also in health, who after they leave government service go out there and offer up these opinions and rally together for political causes. Sometimes they're paid to do it. Sometimes they're doing it to help a candidate. And they are undermining confidence in all of our government institutions. We saw that in healthcare with COVID. We've seen it with intelligence. With some of the political activities that happened in 2020.
Senator, let me read to you, because we're talking about American tax dollars here. In their initial application for federal assistance, the Eco Alliance put out there that they wanted to propose to examine the transmission dynamics of bat coronaviruses across the human-wildlife interface and how this process is affected by COVID's or coronavirus's evolutionary potential and how it might force its evolution. And, quote, we will assess the nature and the frequency of contact among animals and people in two critical human-animal interfaces. Now, it sounds to me like they're playing with fire here. And again, we're talking about American tax dollars, millions of them going with Anthony Fauci's approval. He's running the NIH. Through this Eco Alliance group. They say they're not involved in gain of function, but that sounds to me like they are playing a very, very dangerous game, and we now know the result of that game, don't we?
Yeah, so they can call it whatever they want. They can deny its gain of function. Here's what that means in English, which you just read. It means this. It means these are people that are saying, we wonder what would happen if this virus mutates into something that's infectious in humans. And they would argue we need that, because if we can predict how it's going to mutate, we can actually create a vaccine ahead of time. So to do that, you have to mess with the virus. Well, what happens if someone who's messing with it messes up and gets infected by it? And they go home and they give it to a bunch of people and it spreads like wildfire.
Well, wait a minute.
That sounds a lot like what happened in Wuhan.
But Senator, didn't Anthony Fauci say at the time, and didn't others government officials say at the time, that it most likely came from a wet market where they sold bats and other exotic animals?
Yeah, but here's the thing. When SARS and MERS and all these other outbreaks, they've been able to produce the animal. Within 3, 4, 5 months, they've been able to say, here's the animal, here's the infection, we tracked it down to date. To this moment, they have yet to come forward and say, here's an animal infected with this exact virus. They've not done that. This is the first time in all these other zoonotic infections. This is the one where they can't do it. And so you add that up with all these other things, and you start to conclude here that, in fact, this probably was a lab leak accident. Someone got infected. It now has spread across the world. And a totalitarian communist government in China doesn't want the world to know about it.
And the American taxpayer put at least part of the bill. That is
right. And some of our scientific community have actually gone along with not getting out there because, frankly, they agree with this sort of research. They think it's a risk that we have to take.
Hey, 2012, Anthony Fauci said that he supported gain-of-function research, even if it resulted in a worldwide pandemic. That tells you, and this was 2013, the first initial application by EcoHealth Alliance.
According to he was ahead of his time. He predicted the future right there by doing that.
All right, Senator Rubio, please do us all a favor, the country a favor. Please get to the bottom of this. We appreciate you.
So, you know, it is a different stance than what's being pushed in the mainstream media right now on the left and right about Marco Rubio. It's very interesting. And so it seems that he's possibly, obviously, changed his opinion on that. However, this is from 2016, February 14th.
You said in response to that a heated exchange between Jeb Bush and Donald Trump on 9/11. This is what you said about 9/11, and I want to ask you about it on the other side.
The World Trade Center came down because Bill Clinton didn't kill Osama bin Laden when he had the chance to kill him.
That's a big charge. I know Bill Clinton has said it is one of his regrets, but he did make an attempt to go after him. But you believe that is a direct result? If basically Bill Clinton's failure led to 9/11?
Well, I believe that if Osama bin Laden had been killed, Al-Qaeda as an organization would not have grown to the point where it had conducted 9/11. And it was in response to this argument that Trump was making that somehow President Bush was responsible for 9/11. And my argument was, no, the responsibility of 9/11 falls on the fact that Al-Qaeda was allowed to grow and prosper, and the decision was not made to take out their leader when the chance existed to do so. Not once, but 4 times, according to the 9/11 report. President Clinton has acknowledged that as a regret. And so the bottom line is that Al-Qaeda was able to carry out 9/11 because as an organization, they grew and prospered in capability.
Okay, so he obviously doesn't know what the hell happened on 9/11, another staged and planned event. And so if he doesn't know, I don't know how he doesn't know this yet. And controlled demolitions, Building 7 going down as well, training exercises happening at the same location, multiple accounts from people on the ground, actual real heroes, first responder types like law enforcement and firefighters, etc., that were getting injured. And then also discussing the the explosions, and there's even so much more. So again, there are people that have no idea what happened in 9/11, that were even lying to, well, actually did know, but they were lying even on to Congress, even on C-SPAN in 2002. Netanyahu involved in that as well, alleging there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, got us into a war, Afghanistan included in that, and a lot of people profoundly impacted by that decision. And so,
led
not
by
looking good.
Osama bin Laden. Had bin Laden been taken out, it is doubtful that 9/11 would have happened at least on September 11 of 2001, because Al-Qaeda would not have been in the position to be able to carry something
So
like
you're
that
not
out.
blaming 9/11 on Bill Clinton?
No, he made a decision not to take out its leader, which I think ended up being the situation that happened with 9/11. And this was a response to an attack that the reason why 9/11 happened was because of George W. Bush. And my argument is, if you're going to ascribe blame, don't blame George W. Bush. Blame a decision that was made years earlier not to take out bin Laden when the opportunity presented itself.
So I'm actually still not quite clear. Are you putting 9/11 on Bill Clinton?
No, I'm putting it on his decision not to take out bin Laden. Absolutely. This is what happens when you have a chance to take out the leader of a terrorist organization and you fail to do so. And the results are something like 9/11.
And joining me now is Ken Kuchar.
Yeah. So a large percentage of the population knows what went down in 9/11. Maybe not completely 100%, but I've talked about this in multiple different videos. There's a good documentary on it called Loose Change, which I highly recommend people watch. They also bring on structural engineers, actual experts in CGI, and witness accounts. There's just a lot on it. Let's see, I haven't seen this one yet.
Since radical Islamic terrorists launched coordinated and horrific attacks on America. This year will mark 2 decades since radical Islamic terrorists launched coordinated and horrific attacks on America, stealing 2,997 lives and shattering countless more. September 11, 2001 was one of the darkest days in American history, and it changed our nation forever. But today, we pause to remember the first responders who rushed into falling buildings and the veterans who courageously risked their lives. Without hesitation, these heroic men and women answered the call to defend their fellow Americans. They highlighted the...
And why are you guys all ignoring their calls for justice and actually getting the truth out? There's family members that have been at this now for 23 years, over 23 years now, that want justice and want the truth out. Family members of people that lost their lives on that day or because of cancer within the years following, and they know what happened. They know what happened. There's irrefutable evidence. There's irrefutable data and evidence out there, and so they want the truth out, and you guys are ignoring them.
Inherent good of our country, a selfless dedication to neighbors, complete strangers, and to the country. We cannot allow their memory to fade. Not only must we follow their example, we must also fight for them as hard as they fought for us. Across our country, many of them are struggling with illness because of the trauma they faced 20 years ago. Now it is on us to ensure that our first responders are cared for and that our veterans are cared for, and that we will forever be grateful for the valor and sacrifices they made. May we never forget what each and every one of our first responders and our veterans have risked. And may we ensure that those who still bear the wounds of their heroism on September 11, 2001, whether physical, mental, or otherwise, receive the care they need. Thank you to those who took that risk, and thank you to those who continue to support them every day. May God bless you.
Yep. Yep. This is from Rob Skiba. Rest in peace. What will it take for you to finally admit that we never went to the moon?
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
We're also really pushing the boundaries in terms of where we're going forward with exploration.
Some of the comments, YouTube, totally agree with. And I also think that there is already some kind of a deep state international governing body it's being run by like the billionaire club and people that go to places like Davos and Bohemian Grove, et cetera, that are writing the friggin' scripts.
I think humans are naturally driven to do this. And this is really the beginning, I think, of human beings leaving low Earth orbit. I certainly plan on being around to see that.
The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. We only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Once we travel beyond low Earth orbit, the crew will be exposed to larger amounts of radiation. So we have to design both the crew protection systems and our electronic systems to withstand this radiation.
If there is something that definitely, at least in my opinion, exposes the Apollo program as a fraud, it's the Orion project. The Orion project, after they retired the space shuttle, the next project that's on the board right now is called Project Orion. And they're pretty much telling you that Apollo never happened, especially when they put out videos like this talking about the Van Allen radiation belts.
We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth, 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation.
What?
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation.
One more time.
An area of dangerous radiation.
Oh. What's wrong with that radiation?
Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back.
That doesn't sound good.
Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
What? We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space? I thought this problem was solved over 40 years ago when we sent a bunch of people in jumpsuits and tin cans through it there and back a half dozen times. Oh, but I forgot. The Apollo guys, they were clueless regarding the radiation belt. That it didn't affect them.
I don't know the distance to the Van Allen radiation belt. And if we did, it wasn't a problem. If we were going to encounter it, then we would have had to build the spacecraft and the spacesuit to not give humans a problem. You don't just build something and hope it works. You study to see what the threats are, the environment is, and then you say, how thick do I have to make the metal on the spacecraft so that going through this kind of radiation or these kind of meteoroids, it won't get hurt. And so then we build it that way.
I help manage the Orion Crew and Service Module office. We're responsible for developing the crew capsule, which is where the crew lives and works when they're in space, and the service module, which is what provides the power and the fuel and the consumables then that is plumbed over to the crew module. We don't have the ultimate answer for radiation on Orion. We're still working on that. If we were to build Orion out of the materials we need and the sole job was to protect for the radiation environment, the vehicle would really be too heavy. So we have to balance the weight of
That's interesting.
the materials that we put
I've already
on
done videos on this as well, where I've discussed the materials that they use and how it wouldn't withstand the alleged radiation within these belts.
Spacecraft with how much protection it's providing the crew. So we're really looking at it from an operational perspective. If we understand a radiation event has happened, the crew will actually take shelter in the aft bay of the vehicle. We have found over the years that water is a really great radiation absorbing material. So we could do things like water that's already there in the water bags for drinking and things like that. That water could be used to shield them. As well as we've had some concepts like a water field vest that they could put on should they know there's an event and need to be protected.
We don't have a clue when it comes to like how to protect them from like radiation. So we're gonna just like put them up there in like water suits. Yeah, we like water suits, and like if we put water all around them, so the radiation could go like into the water, and then they could drink it, and it could be like a Fantastic Four. Everybody tells me they'll come back and be mutants when they get back. But we just got some ideas, yeah. But don't worry about it. Yeah, I know there are refugees everywhere and like people are starving and stuff. And like we have homeless all over the place. But if we spend like a few $1 trillion, I think we should be able to figure out how to make water suits for the astronauts in space. And then maybe it'll work out like it did for the guys in Apollo.
The belts are 1,000 miles to 25,000 miles above the Earth.
We went right out through them.
No effects on your cells?
Didn't even know it. I don't think anybody, well, maybe somebody said you went through the radiation belt, but we didn't feel it inside, and we didn't get any, added radiation.
Yeah, if you pretend that it's not really there, then you can just go right through it.
To protect the astronauts from the Van Allen radiation belts, the lunar module would have required 6 feet of lead shielding. But here's what they really had for protection.
Obviously, the only shielding they had was the literally paper-thin outer hull, and their suits consisting of glass fiber, some aluminum fibers, and silicon rubber.
It's very interesting concerning radiation that the astronauts were protected by a thin film of aluminum, when here on Earth they put a lead shield on us when they take a dental x-ray.
In conclusion, when NASA themselves admit to never having left low Earth orbit, and the fact that we don't even have the materials that could withstand the extreme temperatures and cosmic rays in space, how on earth can anyone believe that we ever went to the moon?
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video presentation. If you did,
I did. It was good. One more video. One more video. From the War Against You. I haven't watched this one yet either. It's a reaction video. Title is Moon Landing and SpaceX Lies Exposed. Trump and Musk are lying to our face. And posted just a couple days ago.
NASA and the government faked the moon landing it was technically impossible to do it. And they simply had to come up with some sort of alternative that they felt the public would believe. I believe, had they wanted to, that NASA could indeed have pulled off the greatest hoax of all time, never sent anyone to the moon, and recreated it in a television studio.
Can you realize that you and I, that all of us, have actually begun the exploration of another world?
The United States Geological Survey decided to build a model of one part of the lunar surface in an area accessible to present research centers.
4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Three, two, one.
Billed as a world first, once again SpaceX didn't disappoint. Just after 7:30 on Sunday morning, Starship and its bottom half, the so-called Super Heavy booster, were propelled into the dawn sky on its 5th mission. traveling miles from Texas in seconds. Minutes into the flight came the moment of separation.
Ship engine start up.
Most engines cut off.
Stage separation.
When the booster broke free.
Stage separation. Hot stage separation confirmed.
It thundered through the sky solo, bound for where it launched, engines spewing. And then came the go-ahead for landing.
We are go for catch.
Velocity. Oh, we can see it coming down through the plume.
And the booster tilts with incredible precision. What's about to unfold a world first.
On the left hand.
Deafening cheers mark the occasion as it slows from supersonic speed.
We can see those chopsticks now.
In seconds. And gently floats into the tower's mechanical arms, slotting into place effortlessly. An historic step for Elon Musk's SpaceX ambition for sustainable space exploration.
What is he trying to do?
His plan for the booster to be refurbished, refueled and relaunched finally realised, but only if he can pull it off again.
Elon is great. That guy is such a great guy. I think you're a fan of Elon. And I'm talking to this very important guy. I said, wait a minute, I'm looking at something. The television's unmuted, right? And I see this rocket. It's all brown from the heat. You know, it comes 10,000 degrees pouring down at thousands of miles an hour. And I see this thing. You know, it's like a 20-story building. And it catches. And I say to this guy's an important guy. Wait a minute. Let me just put you to hold. I got to see this. And I see this, and it's going to crash. I said, it's going to crash into the gantry. I said, oh man, that's going to be a disaster because it's starting to get very close. And then boom, and then you see the two arms grab it. Crazy. And I forgot the guy. I had him on the phone. I forgot. No, I said, the hell with him. No, I called Elon. I said, was that you? He said, that was me. And I said, who else can do that? He said, nobody. Russia can't do it. The United States, nobody can do it. Let me tell you, we have a new... No, he's an amazing guy. We were sitting together tonight. You know, he spent 2 weeks in Philadelphia and different parts of Pennsylvania campaigning. You know, he sent the rocket up 2 weeks ago, and I saw that rocket, and I saw it coming down. I saw it. It was, when it left, it was beautiful, shiny white. When it came down, it didn't look so pretty. It was going 10,000 miles an hour, and it was burning like hell. I said, what happened to your paint job? He said, we've never made a paint that could withstand that kind of heat. And, but I saw it come down and turn around. And it was, you know, it's like 22 stories tall, by the way. It looks a little smaller than that, but it's big. And it came down, and you saw that fire burning. And I'm saying, only Elon can do this. It must be an Elon. And I tell the story. I told it last night. I had a man on the phone. I had the screen muted. No sound. I was talking to a very important man, happens to be here. And that very important guy, one of the most important people in, I would say, the country, actually. But, you know, I was president, and now it looks like I was going to be maybe president again. So I figured I could ask him to hold. So I asked him to hold. And because, especially because you're going to be president again, they hold. So I took the phone down, and I'm looking at the screen. I'm seeing this crazy thing that's going around and coming down. It looks like it's going to crash into the gantry. And I said, oh, no. And I said, do me a favor. Do you mind holding for a couple of minutes? I want to see this. I thought it was a space age movie or something. I put the phone down. Bad part, I didn't pick it up for 45 minutes, and he was holding. But this spaceship came down, and I saw those engines firing, and it looked like it was over. It was going to smash, and then I saw the fire pour out from the left side, and it put it straight, and it came down so gently, and then it wrapped those arms around it, and it held it, and just like you hold your baby at night, your little baby. And it was a beautiful thing to see, and I called Elon. I said, Elon, was that you? He said, yes, it was. I said, who else can do that? Can Russia do it? No. Can China do it? No. Can the United States do it other than you? No, nobody can do that. I said, that's why I love you, Elon. That's great. And you know, when we had tragic Hurricane Helene, and it hit North Carolina. They were really devastated. The water. This was a big water, as big as we've ever seen, water hurricane. It built lakes out of nothing. Fields became lakes, and the danger was unbelievable. And the people from North Carolina came to me and they said, would it be possible, at all possible, for you to speak to Elon Musk? We need Starlink. I said, what's Starlink? It's a form of communication. So I called Elon, and I'll tell you what, he had, and it was very dangerous. People would die. They had no communication. All the wires were down. I called Elon Musk. I said, Elon, you have something called Starlink. Is that right? Yes, I do. What the hell is it? He said, it's a communication system that's very good. I said, Elon, they need it really, really badly in North Carolina. Can you get it? He had that there so fast. It was incredible. So it was great. It saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives. But he's a character. He's a special guy. He's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have that many of them. We have to protect our super genius.
You have geniuses that are trying to call him out. You're not doing anything really to protect them.
And it's still tripping me out. I mean, I'm tripping balls here. And I've seen rockets blow up. You know, they'd launch like a block of concrete or something like that. I mean, that's so boring. Tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. We'd have way better CGI if it was fake.
February 14th, 2024. Fake news from SpaceX. The company was convicted of publishing unreliable satellite images. Astro enthusiasts have convicted SpaceX of publishing an unreliable image. It demonstrates a batch of Starlink satellites above the Earth. The image of the Starlink satellites above the Earth, published by SpaceX, which is actually made up of two different photos. The image was attached to a message on the social network X, in which the company announced its intention to prematurely disorbit 100 Starlink satellites of one of the early generations. Engineers have identified a problem that can lead to a malfunction that will make it impossible to control the devices. To avoid the risk of clogging the near-Earth orbit, the company decided to terminate their operation ahead of time. However, it was not the news itself that attracted the attention of many users, but an image of the deployment of Starlink satellites that illustrated it. It looked too high quality compared to the usual images of such broadcasts. The original and redesigned SpaceX photo of Earth with the added batch of Starlink satellites. As a result, astro enthusiasts conducted a small investigation, during which they quickly established that this was a composite image made up of two different photos. The first one was made in a SpaceX clean room. It showed a batch of Starlink satellites ready for launch. The second image was received on December 12, 2021 from the ISS. Its author is German astronaut Matthias Maurer. He photographed Southeast Asia through the porthole of the station. Photo of the Earth was taken from the ISS on the December 12, 21 source NASA. One of the SpaceX employees took it and replaced the Soyuz spacecraft in the frame with a Starlink. Why the company had to go to such a forgery when it has real photos of the Starlink deployment remains unclear. On Reddit we read, "So I just realized these SpaceX landings are fake. I used to think they are a real thing, but I just saw some video on YouTube and this guy made some really convincing arguments. I thought about it for a while and just realized how stupid I was. It's so obvious when you think about it. So there are a few arguments why landings are fake. 1, it's fake. 2, it's ridiculous. 3, it's really fake. And 4, that rocket moves slowly. 5, like really fake. And 6, it's obvious. And 7, it's so ridiculous. So I know it hurts, but when you think about it, we can't deny the truth. It's all CGI and a childhood dream dead." Unilad Tech, published 12/36, October 2024. Elon Musk shares definitive answer when asked if the moon landing was fake. The SpaceX CEO revealed his thoughts on the moon landing. Elon Musk has been very outspoken on his personal views as of late, even going as far as to join Donald Trump on stage at the political rally. The Tesla boss has made controversial claims about the woke mind virus and has also joked that he could face prison time if Kamala Harris wins the presidential election. But just when you think he's already shared every passing thought, Musk has added his 2 cents to another topic, the moon landing. Elon Musk shared his views on the moon landing. More specifically, the billionaire has shared a definitive answer. It's been over half a century since NASA astronaut Neil Armstrong first stepped foot on the moon, uttering the new iconic words, "That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind." The tech mogul has set the record straight on his own thoughts in the recent interview with ex-Fox News host Tucker Carlson. During the conversation, Musk said, "We definitely went to the moon, I swear. We went to the moon several times." In response, Carlson said, "I just want to check your view on that." This prompted the SpaceX CEO to reply with, "We 100% went to the moon." Non-believers of the moon landings claim the events were faked due to things like the angle of the shadow and the American flag supposedly flapping in the wind. Another argument is that there's no stars visible in the footage, which is due to exposure. Despite conspiracy theories, the moon landing really did happen, with Neil Armstrong and Edwin E. Buzz Aldrin becoming the first and the second people to set foot on the lunar surface. And the third guy that was taking the pictures as they were leaving, Michael Collins was the third crew member. Oh, there was 3 crew members. But I don't know, maybe they left Michael Collins back on the moon, and that's why we've never heard of him, because as they were lifting off, we got pictures of the spaceship floating up in the air and going into orbit. Anyway, SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket launch was faked by Elon Musk, insists Flat Earth Society conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists who believe Earth is flat have branded Elon Musk's astonishing Falcon Heavy space mission as fake and nothing more than a good car ad. The Flat Earth Society has sensationally claimed that those who do not question the authenticity of the billionaire business magnate's latest SpaceX launch are giving in to blind belief. Mr. Musk's Falcon Heavy mission has been heralded as a new era of space exploration after its enormous engineer successfully blasted off out of the atmosphere on Tuesday. But while the SpaceX CEO stunned the world when the rocket became the largest and most powerful spacecraft to leave the planet upon taking off, the Flat Earth group unsurprisingly remains skeptical. SpaceX Falcon launch in pictures. Wow. The group, which prides itself on encouraging the spread of ideas and free thoughts since 1865, said in a statement, "Why would we believe any privately held company to report the truth?" It added, "People who believe that the Earth is a globe because they saw a car in space on the internet must be the new incarnation of it's true. I saw it on TV. It's a poor argument." The rocket, which was carrying Mr. Musk's cherry red Tesla Sports, was fitted with a camera that allowed Earthlings to watch a live stream of its journey through space. Mr. Musk has not responded to the group's controversial claims. But in the past, he publicly mocked them by writing on Twitter, "Why is there no Flat Mars Society?" On Benzinga, obviously real, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk says it's insane how many people have asked him if moon landings are fake. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk on Tuesday denied the moon landing conspiracy theory, terming the moon landing during the 1960s and 70s under the Apollo program as real. "It is insane how many people have asked me if the moon landings are fake," Musk wrote in an X. "They are indeed obviously real." The SpaceX CEO said that the 6 crewed moon landings were part of the Apollo program are as real as the fact that the U.S. hasn't been back to the moon since. "We should have built a permanent base on the moon and Mars by now,"
Ridiculous.
Musk said. So I write into Google, why the SpaceX rocket landing was fake. And AI says, "SpaceX rocket landings are not fake." Stop it. Stop it. I'm going to cry. You don't keep blaspheming our technology. Successful test flight. We did it. We did it. Don't you dare say we didn't. It's a powerful rocket. Huh. Okay. Well, that looks as fake as when NASA did it. Conspiracy that SpaceX's first commercial spacewalk is a hoax goes viral.
Take over, Elon. Yes, take over.
Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm Buck MAGA.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We're just a few days past the election, and we are already headed into uncharted territories. Yes, we know Donald Trump. We really know him. We've had him around for 9 years, 4 years of him in office. Lots of things aren't new. But, and I say this from a place of some experience, there's some different stuff this time. And one of the ways it's generally different is that he now has a kind of coterie of oligarchs, including the richest man in the world, who've kissed the ring, worked to get him elected, and are now apparently going to be running America. Now, this is a model that's actually familiar across the world. It's pioneered and perfected by strongmen like Viktor Orban in Hungary and Recep Erdogan in Turkey, and of course, Vladimir Putin in Russia. All of these rulers have their little crew of corporate and industrial titans who often hold no official government titles, but do the work of the regime in ways large and small, legitimate and otherwise, in return for their access and special privileges, including squeezing state coffers to line their own pockets. As the Atlantic's Franklin Ford puts it, the regime does the bidding of the billionaires, and in turn, the billionaires do the bidding of the regime. Power grows ever more concentrated as the owners and the corrupt leaders conspire to protect their mutual hold on it. In short order, this arrangement has the potential to deliver a double blow to the American system. It could undermine capitalism and erode democracy all at once. And you may say, and you would be right, that corporate titans have always had a lot of political power, certainly more than the little guy in America. But really, this is completely different from anything we've seen before. Just look at Elon Musk.
I'm not just MAGA. I'm Gothic MAGA. America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing. Massive, crushing victory. Get everyone, friends, family, people on the street. Put the signs up. Put the hat on. Let's go.
The wildly charismatic billionaire rocket and electric car magnate spent $130 million of his own wealth to get Trump elected. That alone is unheard of. I mean, as far as we have records of, no one's ever done that before. Musk also bought Twitter for $44 billion and drove its value into the ground. I mean, essentially setting half that money on fire, like $22 billion worth of value, in order to turn the social media platform into a right-wing propaganda machine to get Donald Trump elected. And it kind of worked. And not just to get Trump elected, but to make the world's richest man even richer.
Tesla among this week's biggest gainers on the S&P, up nearly 20%, fueled, of course, by the president-elect's victory. That surge resulting in a windfall for Elon Musk, who of $290 billion.
I mean, you see, right? You don't have to be like super sophisticated to see how like wildly corrupt this could be. Trump isn't even president yet, but the mere fact he will be has investors flocking to invest in Elon Musk companies because Musk is close to the prez. They know. In fact, they probably saw the Trump family photo from Mar-a-Lago celebrating the day after the election, a family photo that interestingly doesn't include Melania Trump, who I think is Donald Trump's wife the last time I checked. But there's Elon Musk. He gets the friends and family discount now. And while he's sitting on billion-dollar government contracts to the point where the U.S. space program has become largely dependent on him, now he's going to be something approaching a kind of co-president. And if you think I'm exaggerating, here's what happened today.
A senior Ukrainian official confirms to Fox News that Elon actually joined a call on Wednesday between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Notable there that Elon was on one of those first calls the day after the election with Zelensky.
So when Donald Trump called Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday, right? Probably one of the most consequential communications that could possibly happen. The wartime president that Trump asked to dig dirt on Joe Biden in exchange for American missiles, that guy, the first thing Trump was impeached for back in 2019, remember that guy? Okay. So when Trump calls Zelensky this week, and there's already been a bit of a record on these calls, Elon Musk was on the call too. He got to listen into negotiations between the president-elect and the head of state, and not just any head of state, but one reliant on Musk's generosity. As one official told Washington Post, Zelensky thanked Musk for the Starlink terminals Ukraine relies on for much of its military communications amid Russia's ongoing invasion. Now, I'm not saying it's a shakedown like the infamous phone call in 2019. I'm just saying that if Donald Trump and Elon Musk wanted to shake down the Ukrainian president, that would be how it starts. Probably worth remembering that headline from 2 weeks ago when the Wall Street Journal revealed that Musk has also been secretly having phone conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin since late 2022. Probably just a coincidence. Now, late this evening, Trump's team tried to downplay the story. A single source telling NBC News that Musk just happened in on the call with Zelensky. His brief participation wasn't planned. Maybe that's true. I don't know, but that's kind of the point, right? This guy, the world's richest man who spent more than $100 million to get Trump elected, is just kind of around, and he can walk in the room when the president-elect is on the phone with the world leader. This is a guy no one voted for in any election. We've not really ever seen anything like this in American politics. Yes, America has had robber barons. It's had plutocrats, politically connected captains of industry. But I don't think we've quite ever gotten this, that the world's richest man fashioning himself into a shadow minister of the president with a growing monopoly over information and American technology. And again, it's not just Musk. It's not going to be an oligarchy of one. I mean, Trump has long been looking for a posse. Remember back in the spring when he brought all the oil executives to Mar-a-Lago and promised them good times and lax regulations if they would back his election campaign with $1 billion. They passed at the time, but I bet their thinking has evolved this week. There's plenty of billionaires jockeying for status in Trump's stable of oligarchs. hoping to be the government behind the government, especially big tech billionaires like Musk. As 4 of the Atlantic puts it, there's a distinct twist to the aims of the big tech oligarchs. They don't simply want to insulate themselves from regulators and courts. Ultimately, they want to exploit the relationship with the government in order to supplant it. They want to be the ones who gain control of programs and systems that were once the purview of the state. Their alliance with Trump is, at bottom, a power grab.
Another interesting video. There's so much like a funny thing happened on the way to the moon by Bart Sobral is also really good documentary on the this being a fake, staged, planned. Well, all of them being staged and fake and planned. I'm looking at Obsidian and its connection with Starlink and the partners that they work with, including Google and Shopify, TikTok, Meta business partners. Yeah, so that's basically it. A partner, not a vendor, is what they're saying. We'll look more into that. But anyways, on that note, I will leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.